So I'm sure most of you have not read the laws that govern real estate and real estate laws and leasing real estate properties. So you might be wondering, is it actually legal to lease a property to be a short-term rental? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Tap in. So is it legal to Airbnb a rental property? Well, I got a phone call once, and it was from a friend of mine, and he said, man, TJ, I messed up, and I messed up badly. The thing is that he started renting out this brand new apartment complex that they just built in downtown Houston. He started renting out one of the units and put it up on Airbnb, but it appeared that he was going to be the one living there. And within a month, they found his listing on Airbnb, and not only did they put an eviction on his record, even though he was more than willing to move right away, they still made him pay his entire year's worth of lease all up front. So this is obviously a very important topic. The question is this legal? And how can you do it the right way? Let's tap in. So a brief history lesson, because understand that this concept and this strategy of short-term rentals has been around for a very long time. I mean, way before any of us even thought about making money with this strategy. Short-term rentals have been a viable strategy long before Airbnb. Entrepreneurs have rented out properties as short-term rentals for business for a long time. Airbnb just made marketing more accessible for the everyday homeowner. And so then people started finding out that, okay, well, if I can just actually leverage somebody else's home to earn the same money, then why not do it? And so this is what the corporate housing companies have been doing this entire time. Now we are able to do it as well. But there is a right way to do it and a very wrong way to do it. So what we're talking about is rental arbitrage. That is literally the entire topic what we're talking about right now. And there are a few things that makes this strategy very attractive. For one, the barrier to entry is really low because we don't have to purchase the property. If we can master how to secure the leases, then we are literally off for the races, and sky can definitely be the limit. It is a great way to make some extra cash. So this is not an equity play, but this is a heavy cash flow play. You can generate additional cash flow by not owning these real estate properties. You know, before I started doing short-term rentals, I was purchasing 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses and averaging around $400 to $500 a month as a traditional long-term rental property. Then I started learning about how I can leverage short-term rentals and not only make additional income from short-term rentals, then I can leverage properties I don't even own as short-term rentals as well. And I can tell you right now, our properties, even our 1-bedrooms, average at minimum about $1,200 a month. So that is $1,200 net a month on a 1-bedroom apartment that I don't even own. That pales in comparison. That 3-bedroom, 2-bath house making $400 a month can't even hold a candle to that 1-bedroom apartment. This is strictly from a cash flow perspective, right? This is one of the things that makes arbitrage so beautiful. Anybody with the right skill set, because remember, we want to do this the right way. Anybody with the right skill set on how to actually speak to the landlords and actually address their pain points, anybody can get into this game. It's one of the most beautiful ways to get into real estate. The barrier to entry is really low, okay? So now the thing about arbitrage is because the barrier to entry is really low, as you can imagine, a bunch of people are going to go ahead and try to do this business. But because a lot of people are going to flood in and try to do it, you can probably bank on most of them not doing it the right way, because now they're just trying to earn a quick buck on the platform versus we're trying to build a legitimate business. So don't be one of the ones that are just trying to earn a quick buck. Build a legitimate short-term rental business. So the next thing is to be transparent, because this is what allows us to sleep well at night. Knowing that we are transparent in our business and we're doing legit good business and not only providing cash flow for ourselves, but providing an insane amount of value for that particular landlord as well. So many people that do rental arbitrage fly under the radar, but this isn't a long-term business strategy, nor is it legal. The best way to run this kind of business is to be transparent and let the landlord in on your side. 100%, because understand, if your landlord wouldn't want to play with you, or they're not willing to be intrigued enough to do this business with you, then that's okay. A lot of hosts get hung up on that. There are other opportunities out there. I think one of the most important things that you have to understand, Going into these kind of conversations is understanding the value that you bring. Understand who you are in this business. Understand that if doing this business right, you are literally that landlord's perfect tenant. And your ability to convey that is what's going to get them intrigued enough to do business with you. Understand the value that you bring. Next one is subleasing, probably one of the most important parts of this entire topic that we're talking about right now. It's one of the biggest questions that I get is, man, sublease, can I sublease? How do you sublease? Should I sublease? Is this subleasable? I get that question in so many various ways. Subleasing, quote unquote, right, is against most rental contracts. But if you rent a property as a business, it's understood that the company won't be able to stay there. Have a lease agreement that heavily focuses on the landlord, but that lets your LLC conduct business there. Understand, the most important thing that you could be doing, because if I was to rent a property from you right now, if I was to rent this property from you and you qualify me, you do my background check, you check my credit, you do my criminal history check, and I qualify, and then I subsequently just rent it out to somebody else. By definition, I'm subleasing. And yes, that's illegal, because guess what? You didn't qualify that second person. You don't know who that person is. You know me, you qualified me. So that's why subleasing is very illegal. Now understand though, this is why we rent our properties out under a business. We want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. We rent these properties out under a business and position yourself as a corporate housing entity. And that's the way you want to do it. When you rent it under a business, understand that now the business is not the person staying there. That's understood by yourself. That's understood by the landlord, but it is somebody that's going to be staying on behalf of that business. And that is one of the best things that you can do. And another reason why that's very important, because understand, liability is an issue in this business. If you're hosting people, if you're hosting guests in this business, whether you like it or not, you are providing a service to these people. And by providing a service means they can hold you liable for certain things. Well, if you sign a lease with your personal name and your personal information on there, if somebody decides to hold you liable, well, guess who's held liable? That name and everything tied to that name. This is why we want to make sure that we keep that separation, detach ourselves from the business, and lease it under a corporate entity. And this entity, there's a few rules of thumb about this entity. This entity should not own any real estate or own anything else. Secondly, this entity should not be conducting any other businesses. This should be your sole short-term rental company. Remember, we're growing a business here. We're not just doing Airbnb. So we want to make sure we lease these properties the right way under a business, that way you sleep well at night. So the next thing is actually how to have these conversations with landlords and getting them intrigued enough to do business with you. And that's one of the things that I get the most questions about with TJ. What do I say to these landlords? And understand, the most key important thing that you want to address to these landlords is their pain points. And I was kind of had a little bit of advantage, but I got this wrong so many ways when I first started, because I understood the plight of a landlord. Like I was a landlord doing LTRs before I got into STRs. And so even in my conversations, when I started doing arbitrage, I still was getting it wrong. I completely forgot the fact that, look, you're not even speaking to the things that mattered to you when you were a landlord. So I learned that I needed to speak to their pain points. And I'll tell you the list of pain points that matter to landlords right now. Will they get the rents paid on time? That's very important. We show them how we're going to get the rents paid on time. Matter of fact, we show them proof of automated payments that we've made to other landlords. Then they want to know how well this property is going to be well maintained, right? That's one of the biggest hurdles for landlords. As a long-term investor, I would spend on average $4,000 to $5,000 every time I had to do a turnover to get the property cleaned and painted for the next guest. And so understand that that's one of the things, if you can convey and talk to the landlord about how well their property is going to be well taken care of, explain to them how there's nobody that's going to take care of this property the way you are. You have to clean it for every single guest. It has to show for every single guest that comes in there. So it's in your best interest to make sure that that property stay clean. Also insurance, speak to how the insurance is handled. Let them know that they can keep their landlord policy, but you can add your own additional short-term rental insurance policy that will protect you, and you can actually have them added as an additional insurer as well, so that way they know that they're protected. Another pain point of a landlord is actually vacancy. We actually use this to not only address that pain point, but we also use this to actually get discounts on the actual monthly rents as well. We let them know because we know that vacancy is a big issue. Between every time, it may take a month or 2 months to find that perfect tenant. But if you can position yourself and let them know, like, look, I'm your perfect tenant. I'm here. It's me, right? And you know what? We'll take it off your hand for 2 years, maybe 3 years. We'll take it off your hands. That way, you don't have to worry about vacancy. You don't get automated payments for an entire 2 years or an entire 3 years. Trust me, that peace of mind that will bring that landlord will be worth his weight in gold. So make sure that you learn how to address their pain points, address the things that matter to them. And that's what's going to definitely allow you to set yourself apart and get them intrigued enough to do business with you. So we talked a lot about arbitrage, but listen, the goal should always be ownership. Though you can cash flow on an arbitrage play, the real goal should be ownership, because this is what will increase your portfolio size as well as your margins. And understand, there are multiple ways to get to ownership within short-term rentals. For folks who know me, know that I love leveraging private capital to purchase my short-term rentals, as well as my furnishings as well. So we love using strategies like the BRRRR strategy to buy distressed properties, make them beautiful, and then convert them to full-time short-term rentals. This is the same strategy we like to even incorporate in some of our boutique hotel products that we're picking up as well. But you can get to the ownership in multiple ways. Whether you go from phase 1 to phase 2, which I like to consider building a portfolio with rental arbitrage, right? You can build that nest egg, build that cash flow. And then once you build that, then you can transition to saying, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and you built that monthly deposits, right? That cash flow, what I like to consider monthly deposits, that you can say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take that monthly deposit and go ahead and purchase a turnkey property. That's a great way that you can start without ownership to get into ownership. And a lot of our students are getting to the bag that way for sure. Then you can actually leverage private capital the way I did. You can leverage private capital to purchase the assets. My very first short-term rental property, I owned leveraging private capital. But while I was fixing it up, I was still picking up arbitrage properties on the side. One of the other amazing ways that we are getting to it, and a lot of our students are seeing a lot of success this way, is by doing a lease option, finding a creative way to get to it. Doing a lease option could be a great way because you have a chance to actually lease the property. You can earn cash flow from it. In the meantime, maybe it's 2 years, that's about the average time, right? And then by the end of your lease term, you can execute the option to purchase the property. And that was a short-term rental for you. So this is one of the great ways that you can get to it as well. Also, don't discount subject to, don't discount structuring an owner finance deal. These are ways that you can still acquire properties, but still exit with short-term rentals. This is why the foundation of this business and the value of this business is in your infrastructure. That way, no matter how you acquire it, you can still run it with the same team. And that's what it's about. So at the end of the day, we love arbitrage. We love getting to the cash flow. We love the fact that the barrier to entry is low, but the goal should always be ownership. So the quick answer, yes, it is very legal to rent these properties out and earn money from them as a short-term rental property, arbitraging these deals. But it just has to be done the right way. So if you saw value out of this video, definitely like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you tap in on this next video as well.